So this is my mystery object, which I think was described as an object for cleaning bottles. Was one of the suggestions. So what this is actually, it's actually black magic from ancient Greece. So these are curse tablets, which Greek, they tend to be called katadesmoi, in Russian, in Latin, defictionis, but these are a series of objects that these ones were actually found in a cemetery in Egypt during the Hellenistic period, but they have a long tradition going back all the way into the archaic and classical world in Greece. And they are objects which are made of a folded piece of lead, sort of a thinly hammered piece of lead, which have text inscribed on them. And then quite often they are a nail through them. And they are placed in the tombs of the recently deceased, who serve as messengers to the demons of the underworld, who can then carry out whatever act is being required of them. Quite often they would be placed in the graves of the untimely dead, so people who died unexpectedly young, unmarried women, things like that, because those were spirits that were thought to have a special power to be able to travel freely between these two realms. So there are a series of names that are inscribed on these, and the names are Greek names, despite being found in Egypt. And one of the things that was particularly interesting about this set of objects is that the lead was isotopically sourced and comes from Attica, the area near Athens. So we have, whether this means that the lead tablet itself was brought in by a traveler and then inscribed in Egypt, or whether it's something that was sort of pre-inscribed and then brought over, it's not clear, but it's still a kind of cool indication of, as you have a Greek population that moves into Egypt, that we're carrying over some of these practices. Now, I did want to share with you some of the actual tablets of this type, because they're interesting and fun to look at. So this is what some of them look like when they're sort of inscribed and unfolded. And you can see particularly the corrugated edges, which show how it had been sort of wrapped up, and in some places the nail hole, like you can see right here, there's a leftover nail hole. But these texts, the reason that the nailing through of these texts is actually part of the ritual magic, in the sense that this particular action has magical force and amplifies the force of what's actually written in the text. So they can be placed in graves to curse your opponents in lawsuits, which is what this one is. So this one is Theagis the butcher, and the nailing down of the lead is supposed to be imitative of binding his tongue, so he can't testify against the person who has placed this curse. All of these names I bind, I hide, I bury, I nail down. If they lay any counterclaim before the arbitrator or the court, let them seem to be of no account, either in word or deed. So the dead can help you with your legal troubles. The dead can also help you with your love life. And this is another sort of very popular text from the 4th century BC, coming from Pella. And this is a woman who is cursing the current wife of her love interest. And notice again how the actions, the verbs themselves, are mirrored in the physical processes of creating and bearing the tablet. So I incise the end of marriage between Thetima and Dionysophan, and of all other virgins, but especially Thetima, right? She consigns them basically to hell. I assign them to Macron and the demons. In addition, after digging the scroll up, whenever I enroll and read these words, then Dionysophan may marry me, but not before, but he may not take any wife but me. So she's promoting herself as she wants to get rid of the old wife. She wants to marry this guy. Also, the old wife should die terribly. Right. So it gives you a certain flavor, doesn't it, of Greek black magic. And so I thought that would be an interesting way to think about how these objects that look great and sort of the physicality of the magical actions and how that translates itself into actual harm that comes to the person.